So it's another overcast day. The ladies, Tour de France ladies, are cycling. I can't remember what time, but just down the road here, and so it's nice weather for them. It's not too hot, and it's not wet now. It was wet this morning. It was drizzly, so the roads would have been a bit slick, I suppose, but it's not wet now. So it'd be really pleasant for them, and it is just down the road. But because of my bladder, we don't go and watch, because once you get down there, you get stuck. Tour de France have been nearby 3 times now since we've lived here, but it's just too far for me. I have got my microphone on, but I've got it here. I've got it lower down than up here. Hopefully it's working. So yesterday was quite a day, and it was a bit too much for me. I think it would have been too much for me if it had just been one person in the house. I was really struggling yesterday physically. So we had Ludo, who was meant to be here. We got up for him, meant to be here by 9, but he messaged to say he wouldn't be here till 1. So he'd planned a day's work, or we'd planned a day's work, and then he didn't get here till 1, but he came with his nephew. And Mark had set up the shredder in the garden where the japonica is, that Mark had really heavily cut back at my request, really cut it back. So that all needed shredding. And they came in the gate further along, and before they'd even gone down the garden, could hear the shredder going, because I don't think they're used to using those. So we go down there and find a 13-year-old using the shredder, looking a bit dodgy with his hands. So I talked to him about that. Watch your hands, use the plunger. And he spent 2.5 hours, had a bit of a break in between, I think, just shredding. So whilst he was doing that, Ludo was doing all the other jobs around the garden. So Ludo cleaned out the hen coop. So that all worked out well. I was really pleased about that, because I couldn't supervise it. I could not keep going down. And when I wanted to go down and say, okay, now you've done that, put the hens back in, and then you can trim the 2 runs. But he'd done that. He'd put the hens back in and trimmed the 2 runs, and they were closed in, so they weren't, I was worried that they'd come out. He trimmed the potager. He cut the hedge at the back there, using his chainsaw, went right along there. All of that is laying on the ground now, and he said he'll come back at some point and take that to the déchetterie. So he did lots of trimming, and then I went down, because I wanted to put Diatom down in the hen coop. So I went down and did that, and called him over, because I found some bits of wire grillage that I gave to him, and said, can you use that to cover up the holes, the 2 holes in the hedge line? So he did that. And did some more trimming. So that was really good. A lot got done yesterday, even though he didn't come till 1. Vicky was due at 1. She was a bit late. She'd got held up at her last job. So she turned up just as the free engineer turned up, Guillaume, who speaks English, which is great. So we had a conversation with him, and he did some tests on his meter, and everything came back good. All of the, I think there were 4 values that came back as good. He couldn't understand why we had no internet. He then went to Vincent. So he came to us first, and then he was going to Vincent, and he said, I'll know more, probably have a better idea of what's going on when I go to your neighbour. And then I'll go into the village, because I think that's where the problem is again, in the switch box. So he went to Vincent, because Vincent, I think, had got a small internet connection, but he gets his TV as well, and there wasn't enough speed for TV. So he went to him, and then what did he do? Okay, so he went to him, and I'd got my phone with me, turned it up so that I wouldn't miss his phone call because he was going to ring. And then he came back. And as he came back and came through the door, I looked at the box and it was green. So he'd fixed it. He'd gone into the village and fixed it again. I don't know how it became unfixed. But obviously the lightning strike was nothing to do with our equipment. I don't think we've changed. We spent over €100, I think, on 3. You're meant to replace them anyway. On 3 new parafoods and one that I've plugged in because I've got a battery pack that my Mac's plugged into. So if we get a power failure, my Mac won't shut down inadvertently because that can just mess it up. So that's plugged into that. So the battery pack is plugged into a parafood as well. So yeah, we spent over €100 on those. So yeah, it was busy yesterday afternoon, and I was really, really struggling yesterday, and my hands hurt loads yesterday. In fact, I'd spent the night with my compression gloves on. I'd put magnesium oil on. I put compression gloves on, and spent the night wearing gloves. But still, my hands hurt yesterday. They're a bit uncomfortable today, but not as bad as yesterday. And I'm moving better today. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah. So I'm just watching because there are birds coming down. All of those figs are ripening, and I can only eat 3 a day maximum. And birds are coming down and eating. They're coming out of the hedge and coming down and eating, but they only eat a little bit. They don't eat loads. It's a fig that's been hanging on there that they're eating. That's been on there for ages. So I'll pick another couple, I think, when I finish this. Have that for my dessert. We did cauliflower mash today, which was cauliflower, obviously, and what had it got in it? Parmesan, pepper, butter, cream, because you need to build up the fat content. If you're not having mashed potatoes, you need the cauliflower mash to be sustaining. So that was nice, and we had it with the stroganoff thing I made the other day that had got a bit of beef left in it, but not a lot. But I'd got pork from the other day, so this morning when I got up, I cut up the pork, chucked that in, and let that heat gently for a couple of hours, just so it sort of took up some of the sauce. Still got loads of sauce left. So I freeze that, and that can be used another time with another meat on another day. So I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I need to come up with a plan for tomorrow. And it's Wednesday, so we're not going anywhere now. I went out and had a blood test this morning, not my normal blood test, but I had to have it early. We had to have an early blood test because of this Tour de France. So everybody, we normally have to be at the infirmier at 10:30, but this morning we needed to be there by 10. And I know that I'd seen the list when I went and booked it. I'd seen the list, and Fabian had struggled to fit me in. So I knew there were a lot of people on the list. So I went early and got there as a woman ahead of me. But we had to stand outside because Fabian's on holiday. So we had to stand outside. So I stood for 20 minutes, which is a long time for me to stand in drizzle. It drizzled for only about 5 minutes. So I went and got the umbrella out of the car and then couldn't fold it because it's strong. You know, it's one of those automatic things. And I hadn't got the strength in my hands. I did manage, but it's a real effort to pull it back down and clip it. So yeah, blood test done. So next up is we need to take Jazz down to the vets, and we'll do that sometime tomorrow. I don't know what we've got on tomorrow. I think we've got an empty day apart from we need to take her to the vets. And then on Friday, I'm seeing the doctor Friday morning. So it's been quite a busy week for us. And then it's the 1st of August on Saturday. Did I say that the other day? 1st of August on Saturday. I can't believe it. You know, and our trip to the UK is coming around really quickly now. And my family is coming around even quicker. So that's good. Kathy, you mentioned my top. I think it was you or Mad mentioned my top. I bought this in Canada. Don't iron it. It's okay. It's not long enough. It doesn't cover up my my belly as much as I'd like it to. But it is very comfortable. It's very nice to put on. And it's because it's a sort of a thin linen. I can't remember the name of the shop I bought it in now. It was in a shopping mall in Vancouver, because we'd gone expecting cool weather. I think we still got the wrong clothes. We'd gone expecting cold weather. So we got lots of warm weather clothes when in fact they were having a heat wave that May that we got there. So I went into, somebody said go to whatever shop it was. It sounds like something, it sounds like it ends with ers, something ers. It'll come to me later. So I went in there, and I hate shopping, and I was really, really tired, still dealing with having crossed several time zones. Despite, well, we crossed a time zone just traveling from Paris to Toronto, but then traveling from Toronto on the train to Vancouver, we'd crossed another 3 time zones. So, and apart from everything else, we were absolutely knackered. So shopping on a day when I'm awake is not something I like doing. So we went in, and I bought this top, and I bought a shirt that I don't wear. That's also quite big, baggy, but again, it's too short. It's in a sort of a pale green. I have worn it. I don't know where it is now. That would be ideal, really. But it's got sleeves. I like stuff not to have sleeves. I hate having sleeves unless it's autumn and I need the sleeves for warmth. Otherwise, I prefer not to have any sleeves in my clothes. Yeah. Wish I could remember the name of that shop now. Some of you Canadian people will know what I'm talking about. But it was a cheap shop, loads, racks and racks and racks of stuff. But that was all I bought, because I can't. That was it. It was like, okay, I need to get out of here now. Whereas it was in that same shopping mall. So I got what I wanted and went and sat. There were seats in that one. There weren't in Toronto. I went and sat on a seat waiting for Mark, who'd gone into, I can't remember the name of that shop either, but it was the one that sells shoes. And he went in there and give Mark a shop or a shoe shop, and he's gone for hours. He was in there ages, and I just sat and waited and waited. But because he hadn't had his knees done, and because his knees were bad, and the hyaluronic acid injections and steroid injections hadn't lasted long or hadn't worked, by the time he came out of there, he'd overdone it. And I can remember that we walked through there, then I left him sitting with a coffee somewhere whilst I went off to find a drugstore to get him some analgesia, because he doesn't take analgesia. But I knew that if I gave him, I think it was the ibuprofen, helped him. It just helped him get going again and not feel, because he doesn't feel pain. I don't understand it. He doesn't feel pain. So yeah. So that was the same shopping mall. It was the shopping mall that's across, is it Lion Bridge in Vancouver, with Stanley Island just on your right. I think it's called Lion Bridge, something like that. So we got dropped off there by a taxi at the back, so we could just go straight in, and picked up by a taxi at the back, so we'd come straight out and then back to our room. There's quite a lot of birds now feeding on that pig. Well, I'm pleased somebody is. Not bothered at all by me. We've still got pigeons in the kiwi, but I don't know how long pigeons take to hatch. But the pigeons are in and out still, and I don't know whether they've hatched some. If they have, they're very quiet. Well, the other thing I heard last night was, before we were putting the chickens away, were golden orioles, and there were 2 of them that I could hear, which is unusual, because in the early part of the year when we start to hear them, it's just one, and it's obviously it's a male looking for a female. But this was 2, and I think they were probably supervising the fledglings. It's just a shame you can't see them. You can hear them, but you can't see them. So yeah, I picked up a couple of the new babies. They're still quite young. The new hens last night, so they had a bit of a panic being picked up. Oh my god, she's gonna kill me! They just panic, hens. They're just like, and I think that's why they're quite hard for people to manage, because like birds, they flap, and you have to pick them up if you can in a way that you've got their wings before they can start flapping. But if you haven't, then you have to get them and fold their wings down. But I think I'm going to stop this here, because I was going to make a vlog about chicken hen keeping. So I'm going to do that, but I'll separate it. So I'm going to do that now. So I'll stop this here, and we'll let you know how Jazz is once we've taken her down for another x-ray. She seems fine. She's moving around well. She didn't have analgesia yesterday, so I haven't actually looked carefully. She's not around. I can't see her. I've not looked carefully, but I'll have a look and see how she's moving. But I'm hopeful that there isn't anything going on now, and that whatever the inflammation was has gone. But I'll let you know. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope the mic worked. See you later.